Welcome everybody back to Off the Rails with Tone and Jems. This is episode number 17, and we're recording amidst the clusterfuckery of life, I guess, in a certain way. I guess Jems, we should probably start with because we didn't address it on the last podcast. We're on a network now, so
yeah.
We should talk about that for at least a little bit, I would think.
This is Off the Rails with Tone and Jems, presented by the Iron Ostrich Network.
And what is our affiliation with the Iron Ostrich Network, Jems?
I'm not quite sure I get the question. Tone's the one half of the super producers.
So I was gonna we started the Iron Ostrich Network with the guys over the Anomalies, and then we are co-founders. So we brought in a couple other people. We created some shows as well. So there we have Bacon Focus with Rich Reagans. I think
it's Reagans. You said Reagans last night, and he corrected you.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it is, and lack of sleep is killing me on that one. So we have that. That's going to be like a weekly or bi-weekly show, depending on how much we record. So that's gonna be cool. So we brought that in specifically. We created that podcast with Rich for the Iron Ostrich Network. We have some other stuff down the line that I'm not sure I want to announce because I don't know where we're at on that one. But then we have a Who Shows It Anyway, which is basically all of the people on the network thrown into a randomizer. 2 people get picked out, and then everybody else gives a topic, and then that gets thrown into a randomizer. So you're going to have 2 random hosts talking about a random subject, and it's very fun. We've already filmed one, and it's pretty fun.
I think as this network grows, that might be like the best one we have.
Oh, it's going to get crazy. But
that's super cool. I mean, obviously we talked yesterday in our business Zoom or whatever it was.
Because we're professionals and we have a business Zoom.
That the one launching in April probably has a pretty good shot of being pretty big. And obviously Richie already has a following, but like that's the Whose Show Is It Anyway is super cool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a cool thing to go along with our podcast, and then obviously the Anomalies podcast. So basically, you'll hear probably something from the Iron Ostrich almost every day of the week, basically, and it's going to be really cool. So if you like us, if you like our last guest, who was Tanner. Tanner is one of the hosts of the Anomalies. Check out their podcast. They're part of this network as well with us. And I think it's going to be super awesome. I think we're going to grow that thing, and I'm really excited on where it's going to go. So, but I think I can't remember. Did we know about that last time we recorded it, or was it just kind of fairly fresh and we weren't sure?
The name,
like the podcast network, we'd already
talked about it because we almost talked about it
on the last one,
Tanner's podcast.
That's right. Okay,
and we just didn't have a name ironed out yet. By the
way, Iron Ostrich lends itself. We should definitely make a beer at some point with that too.
That is like the Iron Ostrich IPA or something.
Yeah, have our own beer.
Iron Ostrich Brewing Company, like it pretty much sells itself.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna make $1 zillion off this. So
I like it. Maybe I got some buddies from high school that have a decent sized brewery. I wonder if get them just to make an Iron Ostrich beer.
That'd be funny. We just do a small run of it.
Yeah.
So we we have that going on. Jems is in like 37 different classes because he's getting smarter.
I don't know. I feel like so we were sitting there watching TV the other night, and I was talking to my wife. I go, I've thought this before. I said, but I really think I'm ADD or ADHD. I said, I cannot pay attention to things. Like we'll be like reading in class or something, and like my mind's over here or looking over here, or like something will catch my eye, and then I'm on that, or my phone will go off and I got a text and I look at that, or a thought will pop into my head and then I have to Google it because I have to know something about it. So like the other day, today's Tuesday, So
Yep.
Monday we had to read like 70 pages in class for the
Ooh.
electrical stuff, which was awful
That's
because like
brutal.
that's hard stuff to read.
Yeah, it's not exactly the most enthralling things, I'm sure.
Right. And so like I got like 40 page into it and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't remember if I had this problem in school. Like I did well in school. I don't
I was
remember if
good.
I had
I was good with like Spark Notes. I don't think I read a single book in high school.
right. I think I read some and Spark noted some, but also like I guess that had content to it. It wasn't just like, oh, this resistor does this and the resistance of this current. But so I took a online quiz, not like a BuzzFeed quiz. It was from like an actual like psych website. If I was ADD or something, and it's like you have a probability that you are ADHD,
Which is hilarious.
Like, if you scored above a 40, they were like, yeah, you probably have it.
I should probably take that test.
If you were like 20 to 40, then it was like there's a chance you have it, and I was like 37. So I was like, so I'm basically almost to that threshold.
You're like borderline.
Yeah, and it's like weird questions. It's not just like the focusing thing. It's like, do you have like weird tics? Are you like always fidgeting or like bouncing your legs and stuff? And I was like, absolutely.
I'm bouncing my legs right now.
I saw my. It's like, if people are talking to you, do you have a tendency to zone out? I was like, absolutely.
I only zone out people's names. I usually am pretty intrigued by what people are saying. I just zone out their names and stuff.
Well, I do it to Taylor, unfortunately. I just don't pay attention. Like she'll start talking and I'm just like, she'll be like, yeah. Excuse me, what'd you say? Like I've been talking for like 2 minutes.
Dude, my wife gets so mad at me. I'll have like earbuds in and I'll be like editing something and she'll be talking to me and I'll be like, yeah, and then she'll be like, you're not even listening. I'm like, maybe. I don't yeah, it's not a good thing. I look like I have ADHD right now because I'm literally looking at my phone while I'm doing a podcast, but I'm trying to avoid being murdered by my wife because our kids got new TVs and apparently the Netflix is set up through my account and they were supposed to send me a password, which they have yet to send me. So
you have like 15 email addresses though, right?
Yeah, but I mostly use 2. And it's that one and everything pretty much. I know that one is specifically like that email just because it's before I got the Gmail version of it. So it's like, but I don't know what my wife, she changes the passwords and then she doesn't like write them down. And then like with something like that, it's like, it automatically is like just sitting there, right? It's like, it's signed in and it doesn't matter if you forget the password until you actually need the password. And then it's like, hey,
I have like different variations of like 3 passwords that I use.
So the problem is with me is that as I sit here and try to, what the fuck? Okay. Why do they tell you you can reset through one way, but you can't reset that way? It makes no sense. But anyway, so basically like we use all these passwords at work. So every time I log into my handheld at work, I have 2 different passwords and then those change on like a 3 to 6 month cycle. So then, and you can't use the same one for like 4 consecutive periods. So like always have like a zillion passwords floating in my brain.
I like my favorite password is the one they gave us in 5th grade to get on the computers in school. And it has capital letters, it has numbers, it has lowercase letters.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Until they start asking for special characters, then I got to add like something somewhere.
I always use the same special characters, so that's my.
So do I.
Just so I'm like, I can't.
Just in case
I won't remember.
Somebody knows what that password is. I'm not going to say the special character or the exclamation point, but I got nothing to hide, really.
I mean, mine are all very random, so I don't think anyone would ever put them together. But in my strange brain, I have them like worked where it's like if on a rotation. So it's like say it's 12 say it has to be 12 characters and then
long password.
So, yeah, well that's our work one. So like our work one has to be 12. So like I'll use basically like a funnel of like the first person that everybody in my house has a 4-letter either nickname or name. So like they're always like the first one and then then it's their birthday in some form, and I use a different. So some of them I use month and day, some of them I use month and year, some of them I use whatever month and I don't know. So that's basically it. And then the last one is a 4-digit is the next person in line in the family. So then when I have to switch it, then that person becomes the next one, and then and then the next person. So it's like constantly, but it's like it's done in such a weird way that you could guess. Probably you would get locked out if you ever tried to guess.
Right. What you called is your wife's name Taya?
Yes, it is.
Is that a 4-digit or 4-character nickname, or is that her like birth?
That's her name.
Nice.
Yeah. It's Danish, I think. I think it's Danish.
I should be pretty close to getting my Ancestry.com kit back. I think I sent it out.
Did you send it out? Oh,
yeah.
Sweet. By the way, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's really, really it's gonna be really loud in your guys' ears, but it's really soft in my house. My wife said she set a password reset, and I never got it. And then I just did it for my phone, and it sent it in like 2 seconds. So I think she screwed something up. But
did you listen to that?
I don't think she listened to anything I do, Jems.
Oh. Well, that's nice. At least you can talk about your wife. I can't. No. I'm glad she listens though, because she tells me how it is.
Yeah, shout out to a number one fan.
She'll be like, I listened to your podcast, or she's like, I like Tanner, he's funny. And then she's like, I did skip through part of the WNBA. It dragged on a little bit.
Which it did.
I was like, at least you're honest.
But it did drag on, but that was fine because I think there was a lot of learning that we had to do there.
Yeah, that was one of them learning podcasts.
Which I think sometimes, if you're gonna tune into our podcast, I mean, you may know, some people may know that I'm a huge WNBA fan, but I guarantee you, if you were tuning into our podcast with Tanner, you weren't expecting like an hour-long talk on the WNBA.
But if you were, we have a treat for you with the next 2 shows at Anyway.
Yeah, because they're talking about women's sports, which is gonna be super awesome. It's Tanner's gonna be talking with Flegs. No, by the way, Marco did something on the first episode of that has fucked me up ever since. And every time I'm talking about you, I want to call you Flegs, and then every time I'm talking about Flegs, I want to call him Jems. And I fucking
this is like the last 4 minutes of that episode. I heard that, and I was like, "You fuck." I don't hate it. Like, you could have said something worse, but I was like, "Why? Is it because we were 2 white guys from Indiana?"
You're 2 white guys that are dads from Indiana.
Yeah, I think we're both girl dads too. So
that's true. It was funny though. I think they were equating that they said that you guys would listen to the same music, I think.
Yeah. So I immediately tweeted at him after I heard that. He was listening to like 90s alternative or something, which I can get down with, but like I probably don't ever choose that as my top choice. I'll go with like 2000s alternative, but like he's older than I am, so like
definitely like I love 90s. But speaking of that, did you see past guest Jim Shear's post today on Twitter?
I did
about wanting to go to concerts, and
I did see that.
He used Veruca Salt's The Seether. Do you remember that song?
I know who Seether is.
Well, Seether's a band, but this song is called The Seether.
Oh, yeah. I do not know that, but I know who Seether is.
Well, they have nothing to do with this, but so no, Veruca Salt was a really good band. They had some good songs. Ironically enough, they actually had the dude. So, do you remember the band American Hi-Fi?
I've heard of it.
They had 1 hit. It was called Flavor of the Week.
Okay.
So the singer and guitarist from that band is a dude. He played drums for Veruca Salt, and then he also played drums for like we saw Matchbox 20 play, and he played drums for Matchbox 20. And then, but he also is Miley Cyrus's band leader. Like, he plays drums for Miley Cyrus. So it's like he's just making that money for like years and years.
It's crazy when you see people like be like, oh, you find it. I mean, some people probably know it now, but like you'll find out like crazy stuff like that. Like, oh, Jason Fitz was in the band Perry's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you know that before we almost had him on as a guest?
No, I did not.
So
I did my research.
That's not a shot at Jason Fitz. We'll get him on. We I'm sure he's busy as shit. That man does I think he does a nightly show with Sarah Spain.
We need to have a day where I'm off and we get him in the morning or something.
Yeah, for sure. If you took a month off again.
That was awesome.
Dude,
I mean, I'm basically I'm not working my real job right now. So except for I'd almost rather be sitting in a crane staring at.
So do they just have someone that covers for you then? Or
yeah, they got my position filled with overtime, or they'll move somebody around to cover it.
Got you. But, that makes sense. By the way, does your shoulder ever fuck up from pitching?
No, and I played a lot of tennis too. So I always thought I'd have shoulder issues. I mean, everything's sore because
by the way, I'm so happy you mentioned that. I was trying to find a picture for that Who Shows It Anyway, and I was going through your Facebook, and I did not realize you played tennis. I played tennis as well.
Did you?
I love tennis. I'm trying to get my oldest daughter into it.
I mean, Claire's 4. I need to get her a tennis racket to start messing around, because this would be the time to get her a little bit in lessons next year. And I did tennis. I started my freshman year. I remember I thought about playing tennis, and me and my mom were back to school shopping, and it was August 2nd or something, and practices always started August 1st for all fall sports. That was the first day they could start. And one of my best friends texted me or called me. Probably called. This was 2004. I'm sure he called.
He probably fucking beeped you on your fucking next door.
He's like, "Hey, do you want to play tennis?" I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And I said, "But I missed the start." He's like, "No, they need people." I was just at the day want to practice. I was like, "All right." So I went. Ended up, I was athletic enough where I picked up on it. I didn't play varsity my freshman year, but for sophomore on up.
Yeah.
I would say I was good for my school, but if I played against somebody that was polished, you can only get by so much with athleticism in tennis when you get somebody that's really fucking good.
So I have this weird thing with tennis. I would love to play some Bert Kreischer talks about it, playing tennis a lot for some reason. I guess he used to take play every day and stuff like that. But he was he's I haven't played in forever, and then I guess him and Tom Segura played, and they videoed it, but I didn't watch
better
it.
Be careful.
I think this was before,
right?
And so, this is what he was talking about. He was talking about he's I'm good, and I can beat people, but he's I never understood how people in tennis want to go play tennis, but then they're they want it to be competitive, but then you're if you're not good, I'm going to beat you. So I'm not going to let you win. But but for some reason in tennis, and it's the same thing with basketball. I'm not good at basketball. I mean, I'm okay at basketball. I can play. I could probably run a pickup game and be fine. But I have really good court awareness, so I just know where shit is, and that helps a lot in tennis because I'll hit a lot of weird shots, but I just kind of know where to put my body to put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And it helps me a lot.
So did you play in high school?
I played my freshman year, and then I didn't play the rest of it because it was baseball was year round at that point. I was playing travel ball and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of
a fall or a spring sport. It should have been a fall sport for you guys, right?
I think it was fall, but
baseball should have been a spring sport.
But yeah, baseball was definitely a spring sport. But I played fall baseball travel.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was kind of fucked.
Because when I went to college, tennis was a spring sport, which I guess it was like that in high school too. Which I was well, I would have never played tennis then. But
yeah,
I played a little bit on our team in college because they were short. It was a community college, and they were short. And I was talking to somebody on the team one day. They're you played tennis in high school? I was yeah. Were you any good? It was all conference, but that's whatever, it's not.
Yeah, that's not saying anything.
I was I'm probably okay to play community college tennis. And
yeah.
So I did, and it was awesome because I got to miss out on practices and pitching practices or practices awesome. When you're solely a pitcher. Yeah. Terrible. Because we'd have these long ass practices, 3-hour long practices. I'd get all my pitching done in the first 40 minutes, do the stupid running, and then I'd have to another hour and a half just kind of piddling around trying to find something to do until it was like the end of practice and we did something as a team, like situations or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it sucked, dude. I hated college baseball practice. It was the worst. Like, it was running poles, running distance, pitching like soft toss, or like throwing basically like BP.
So I know you can obviously relate to this more than I can, but high school I didn't really do much for like weightlifting or running or anything. I just
I ran.
We iced our arms in high school, which I don't know if it did anything, but I felt like I could throw longer without any soreness in high school than I did when I was doing maintenance on my arm in college, where we started doing weightlifting and running and stuff.
Yep.
I was like, this was much cooler when I didn't have to run like 10 poles or whatever it was after throwing. And
for sure. Well, see, I ran a bit in college, but that's just because I knew a bunch of kids that were like on like cross country and stuff, so like I'd run with them. But like I also like, so I was also a fat kid. I was a fat fucking sophomore. I was like a fat sophomore. I was like 5'4", like hefty. And then my junior year, I grew to like 5'11" and like thinned out a lot. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to take this year like super fucking serious. And so I did a lot of stuff in the summer. And then when we came back, my goal because I had 3 gym classes my junior year.
That was my senior year.
Yeah, my senior year was 4. And I was like, I had everything knocked out. But we would run. And so my goal was like, I wanted to break a 6-minute mile. Like, so that was my goal all year. So like we'd gotten, they'd be like, all right, let's run the mile. And I'd be like, all right. And then I'd just be hauling ass and everybody else would be like jogging because it was gym class. Mm-hmm. I was trying to achieve a goal. So it was like, for me, I was like trying to like really like push the limits. So I ran quite a bit, but other than that though, like I'm super like flexible. Like my bones and arms and joints go like funky.
Like Gumby or the wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Basically, yeah. So like if I stick I'll get out of frame here and then I'll show you. So this is my pitching arm. So and it used to be worse. So my elbow basically dislocates. Like
you're gonna have to clip that part.
That's just normal. Like
I can't do it. I don't think
my legs are worse. Like my legs like will boat. They're like
your wife's a lucky lady. Or I don't what, it probably doesn't work like that.
Nah. Well, nah. But yeah, so I have these really loose joints called Ehlers-Danlos, and I pitch every day. I throw 140 pitches every day. My arm was never sore. And then of course we go and do all the maintenance. Gotta weightlift, gotta get stronger. I'm like, coach, this shit's fucking me up. And he's like, no, I still got to do it. So even lifting light weights, it just strengthened me up enough that it started to mess up and my muscles, my tendons started threading, and then it popped one day, and then it just never was the same. So
I used to be pretty good about throwing a shit ton of pitches and then being fine in like 2 days or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many pitches I threw this past Labor Day when I played, but not. Yeah. I mean, I warmed up before it, but not throwing anything other than a softball before that, and then going and taking the mound. Everything hurt.
I was trying to find my baseball.
Pulled my hamstring.
Dude, but legs are like the worst because like you can, people don't realize how much pitching is from your legs.
Yeah. And I'm like fat and out of shape now, so I get like winded walking to the fridge.
But so like it's crazy though is like my legs, like my bottom half doesn't match my top half, like for sure. Like, I mean, now like my gut probably does. It's not bad to be honest, but still like I definitely need to lose weight, but it's like I'm actually down from like 10 pounds. So, but I need to lose more.
I officially decided tomorrow is the day.
Okay. We'll start again.
I kept making excuses. Like I was like, oh, my birthday's the 30th. I'm going to be eating something. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to start since I'm on straight days. And then I was like, Taylor's going to want something good for Valentine's Day. So we got cake. So the cake will run out tonight. After this podcast, I will eat the last piece of cake. And then
official weigh-in
tomorrow. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. It's Fat Tuesday. So
no shit. Yeah. Perfect.
My goal.
Taco Tuesday. That's
yeah. I had Taco Bell. had Taco Bell for dinner.
So that's gonna help your weight loss. Cause you'll probably just be shitting that out later.
Yeah, it's all about the packing it on before you lose it.
Yeah.
So my goal is to being on days is perfect for this because you can get in a routine. I'm not working a swing shift for a couple more weeks.
That makes sense.
So if I can get myself to get up like 10 minutes sooner or just like get out of bed at my first alarm, I want to I did this before once, but it was after work stuff. My mom had that DDP yoga, Diamond Dallas Pages yoga. So I was doing it and I felt great after doing it. And I sweat my ass off. And so my goal is to do that in the morning before work. Yeah. And then do something else after I get off of work.
Dude, I got to do that. I got to do the DDP yoga. Everyone's suggested it to me.
Yeah, it worked pretty well before. It wasn't awful.
Dude, yoga. I did P90X. Huh? I did P90X, and the yoga days were the worst ones.
Yeah.
You're just holding your body weight, and it's perfect for me because that's what I do every day. Basically, is hold my body weight, but it's just using it in different. You feel stronger, and it doesn't strain you. It doesn't strain my body, at least the way it strains a lot of people. I guess
yoga is one of those things that I would have made fun of people in the past for doing, in my younger days. But now I'm whatever. Same with Crocs. I used to make fun of people that wear Crocs, but I wear Crocs.
I'm still there with Crocs, bud.
I wear Crocs almost every day. Except for in the right now I can't, but I have some on right now.
No, I'm still there with Crocs. I can't do it, man.
Have you tried them? They're incredible.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get this. I wear slides though. I wear slides. I wear Nike slides all the time.
Okay, I used to wear slides and then I lost them at one point.
Yeah.
But these are so much better than slides.
Man, I can't do it. Can't do it.
They're awesome.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Once
can't
you
do
go Croc, you don't go. It doesn't rhyme.
Once
but
you go Crocs, you never go. Yeah, I can't even think of it.
Well, initially in my head, I was gonna switch Crocs to sound like something else, but then I was once you go Croc, you never go back. So I cut that one off.
I didn't say once you go cock, you never go back, but might be.
That doesn't rhyme either.
That doesn't rhyme either. Yeah, but yeah, the cool thing about so why I brought that up is my shoulders been bothering me today, but I realized that I was moving a bunch of shit around in my car and all that kind of stuff because I had to replace my battery and then my tire wouldn't freaking stay inflated, and then I finally got it inflated and it doesn't have any reason why it wasn't inflating. I don't know. It's one of those weird fucking things. But I dealt with that all day. And then I think at one point I was holding up the hood with my shoulder because it was in a weird spot. And then I should have just
do this thing where something will be a little bit uncomfortable and there's an easy fix to it, but you're so close to finishing the task, you just kind of let it you probably left the hood low on you when you could have easily just went this or pulled out for a second, but you're so close to getting whatever you had to do done. Just say fuck it, I'm gonna leave it how it is and deal with it.
Because we're dudes that are stupid. Yeah, I did that for sure. I was not. I was just a bad. I was fuck. I was after I got done, I was man, I definitely should have done. I should have just pushed it all the way up and put the fucking thing in, but I didn't. So my shoulder was bugging me, but
we'll get it fixed because I heard on Bacon Focus that you like ping pong. So whenever we end up getting together, you have to not have a bad shoulder so I can whoop that ass in ping pong.
By the way, you're gonna get smoked in ping pong.
No,
I'm like Forrest Gump ping pong.
So I would get my shit kicked in college in ping pong at when I went to the local, not the college I played baseball at, but the one here, by this kid I went to high school with. Now Dan lives in El Paso or somewhere in Texas and runs a ping pong gym. That's the thing. His dad was the Olympic coach for several years. His dad's got a Wikipedia page for ping pong. There's a grip called the C. Miller grip that is named after his dad.
Damn.
Yeah, there's a dude on.
Why haven't we had him on the podcast?
I don't know.
What the fuck are you doing, Jems?
Did you ever watch 30 Rock? I think it was 30 Rock.
I've watched it a couple times.
That dude that always wore different trucker hats.
Oh yeah, Jonah Friedlander.
He's worn one on the show that says the C. Miller grip.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So again, why haven't we had this guy on the show, Jems? Come on, what are you doing?
I know it's fun, but I don't know
Drop
him.
the ball. Just reach out to him and be like, hey, we need you on the show. I'm talking ping pong. Now I love ping pong. Ping pong is like the best. Like I tried to like sneakily get my wife. She was like Christmas time. She was like, I have no clue what to get the kids. They're 12 and 13. Who knows what the hell they want? And I was like, dude, you know what they really want? A ping pong table for the basement.
Yeah.
Which I think they would have loved actually, but also I would have got a lot of use out of it.
Right. I'm looking like across the basement right now, and I put like a carpet down for Claire to have a play area down here. But I was like, this is like the perfect ping pong area. It's just like one long stretch of nothing.
Fuck yes, dude. I love ping pong. Dude, I hate it when people have you ever been to somebody's house? Okay, so we had an Olympic sized ping pong table in our basement. So we were like for real. It's like we were like,
okay.
Wow. Now, have you ever and we made sure we had space around it because obviously when you watch the Olympics in ping pong, they got a lot of space.
Right.
You ever go over to somebody's house and they're like, hey man, I play ping pong. Do you want to play ping pong? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to play ping pong. And then you go down to their fucking thing and they have no fucking space. And you're like, bro, we're not playing real ping pong. Because I ain't
that's not as bad as playing pool with no space.
Fuck that shit too. People who don't have enough space for pool, they can eat a dick.
They have like a stick. Dude, oh, this is when you're up against the wall.
You're like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm like shooting like this, like to get like fucking shots.
I had a pool table at my parents' house where we had like one little corner, but like there was nothing you can do about it. Sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it, but
yeah. By the way, do you follow? Obviously, you follow Marco on Instagram. Have you seen his? He has an orange ping pong table or an orange pool table.
I did not notice that. I seen that he had a pool table, but I didn't pay any attention to the felt.
It's got orange felt.
Is it like Cleveland Browns orange?
Yeah,
that's. Cool.
I was like, there's no way you got that. It's an old pool table. Like,
yeah,
that's just happenstance. But I was like, that's interesting though, orange, dude. But ping pong, yeah, we should have a fucking ping pong tournament. By the way, you know who also likes ping pong and has a ping pong tournament almost every year? Clayton Kershaw. So, just saying.
Springer, I'll just talk Dan into going. Like I haven't talked to him since probably college now at this point, but we're still friends on Facebook. Be like, hey, go represent me at this.
So how about this? Me and you against Clayton Kershaw and Matt Stafford. I feel like we win.
Well, see, the problem is I fucking hate doubles in ping pong.
I do too, but I bet you we win.
I would definitely play.
Dude, we win. You know why we win?
Because we're both left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. We're not.
So we're both basically ambidextrous. We both can use both hands.
Who?
Me and you.
I can shoot baskets right-handed, but other than that,
So this is the part right after Jem said the thing that we just clipped out that you won't ever hear.
Yeah.
No, which is the second time we've had this happen.
Yeah, we haven't had to do it for Tone yet.
No, I don't. I usually try to be really good about not saying things that I wouldn't want out of my mouth. But like that's not true. Like if there was a mic on me all the time, I would definitely be in trouble. Like not because nothing racist, nothing. But like I grew up in the era where like the R word and certain words were acceptable, and like sometimes like me and my wife, who we've known each other since we were 12, are like goofing around, and it just comes out because it's like.
Yeah, that was like a common like vernacular.
Yeah.
Which now I'm glad it's not because it's not good. My wife had to break me up for a while. Every once in a while it'll still pop out, but like it's pretty rare.
It happens from time to time. I mean, I don't think it's the worst word you can say for sure.
No.
But it's but there's like those things where just like you're like it, and I think that's I mean we can go real deep here. We'll get real deep here. As part of the problem with the world today is that we have, like you said it, you said a word, which really isn't that bad, which no one will have heard, but we're gonna have a conversation about it. It's not. I don't think it's offensive. It's actually a word that is used to mean exactly what it is. So
right.
So it's not a bad word, but people will take
textbooks for like. In like mechanical, electrical, stuff like that. So
exactly. So like, I mean, but it is a word people will find offensive, and you could tell immediately you were like, I don't want to say that. That's not representative of who I am. So like, I think the world today though now is like you don't even get a chance to make those mistakes. More so,
Right.
which I mean, in certain instances, you're like, yeah, bro, you don't get a chance. Like,
I try not to unintentionally insult people,
yeah,
or I guess insult's the right word. I'm fine intentionally doing it. I try not to unintentionally do it.
that's the worst part. Is like when you say something, you're like, yeah, I have no, I don't, I'm not attached to it. I don't care.
Right.
Like, I could use any other word there, like, and it would have not made a difference. But yeah, it's I wish more people would understand that people, especially like it's kind of weird. So I mean, like back when everything was like, obviously like, I mean, we live in a time where like our grandparents lived where there was separation between like white and black. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't even intermingle. So like, I mean, the fact that they grew up in that era, I mean, obviously now a lot of them people have like passed on or like are older and have like years and years of like living in a society where like we've changed how we do things. Thank goodness we've made changes as a culture. But like, it gets very weird because you're like, we have these words that like are much less bad and like, but you still feel like you're like, yeah, I don't know. I still don't like.
Yeah. Well, and like the other side of that is there's a lot of words now that you don't realize. Like if you're not in tune with like sexuality and stuff, like you can like offend somebody really easily.
Dude, a lot of them.
And I sometimes I get it, and then sometimes I'm like, I just flat out I don't understand. I'm not being homophobic or anything. I just it's tough.
Well, it's weird. So I worked in the wine business, and in the wine business, you're and this was like, I guess, been like 8 years now, but like I spent 10 years before that in. So like, I mean, 10 of the last 18 years, like, was around a high volume of people who were homosexual, which is fine.
Right.
And like a lot of them were my friends. I would go to like, people would have birthday parties at the gay bar, and all of us, the straight people, would go, and we'd have fun, whatever. But like, you're like, they'll call each other certain names, and you're like, and then like, but it's like a word you can't use, and you're like, I get it, but also at the same time, you're like, it like, if you're not like caring enough or educated enough or like want to know, like, you're just gonna be like, oh, they use it, I guess it's good,
right?
So it's like that kind of like funky, like,
you get some hillbilly that's around people they're not typically around, and they're like, oh, I could say that.
They use it, I mean, but there's so many words that are like that in the American language. Like, I'm sure your wife doesn't. I know my wife doesn't, but like, I know a lot of women that are like, oh, these are my bitches, like, about their friends, Yeah. But I'm like, I can't be rolling and be like, hey, what's up? Your bitches are here.
I'll do it. I'll be the one that does that though. But like, her friends are like people I've known for a while and stuff. So it's not like they're not like people I'm uncomfortable saying it with. It'd be like,
but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, someone random's not gonna come in the room and be like, oh, look at these bitches. Like,
right. I'm comfortable using bitches to describe them, but like probably draw the line at like the next letter in the alphabet, probably. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will let that one fly. But
that's one I've never let fly. I'm just like, because it's just it doesn't come off the tongue very good.
See, once you start using it, like it flows pretty well. So I used to never ever say it. Never. Yeah. Like, even when we first started like the old podcast, like when and talking to Will, like the British just throw it out there like it's a verb
all the time. Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's an article for them. It's like
my sister-in-law uses it. She's from Ireland. They use it.
And then my wife hated it. She would never, like, I might have let it slip or described somebody like that, and she's like, no, hate that word. Well, then she started working, and I hope my mother-in-law doesn't. There's like a chance my mother-in-law listens to sporadic episodes and she'll be super disappointed in Taylor, but Like she worked at this floral shop, and that's just how they talk. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this cunt,"
Yeah.
and like so she'll bring that home, and like she tries not to like do it, but it just like comes out.
I mean, you are a most people have a hard time. Like, I mean, it's just like music, right? If you hear the same couple songs on the radio, like one of them things is going to get stuck in your head, and you're going to sing it later. You know, it's like so it's like kind of like one of those things where it's like if you hear it enough, it's going to come out, and unless you're really diligent about it. So there's like definitely words that I've never said, and I'm like, okay, never going to say those. I mean, clearly the N word is one of those words for me. I've never said it.
Top of the list.
I just learned really early on. Like my parents were like, I think it was like one of my cousins said it, and and keep in mind where we were at, to be around them. We were like, me and my brother were like the only white kids in school. It was all Hispanic and African American people. So me and my brother were the only two white kids. So like our cousins were around primarily a lot of the same. So they heard the word a lot. So they repeated it one day, and my dad was like, "That will never come out of your mouth." This was to my cousin, like, "It will never come out of your mouth again. Do not say that word. Like, that is not acceptable." And then we had a long conversation, me and my brother, with my dad. Basically, he was like, "That's a no-go."
There's either a Bert or a Tom story. Bert Kreischer or Tom Segura story.
It's Bert.
Is it Bert?
Yeah.
He has a pretty similar story to that about he's played basketball with like the neighbor kids or something.
I think it was football, and like one of the kids took it, and the dad, is that the story you're talking about?
Yeah, like I thought it was like talking trash or something, and he just said it because he thought it was okay.
Yeah. yeah. And then he explained why he thought it was okay, and it was like, yeah. But it's like one of those things where it's like, I mean, you hear it, and I've been around it. I mean, it's
especially as a kid. Like kids don't know any better. Like they need to be taught that. But like,
yeah,
if you're not, then
that's the thing is like I'm like, man, like I mean, I sent a video to the group chat today of my son rapping Eminem, and I'm like, my son has a bias towards hip hop. He loves hip hop. He like maybe it's the beats. I don't know, but like I'm like, I got to be real diligent about words that he repeats. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, let's try to find a clean version. Let's try to find a clean version anyway, because you're 3, but sometimes you can't. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to have the conversation with him. I've had the conversation with my daughters probably a long time ago, but it's just like one of those words. I'm like, I would never. I know the weight of it. And I'm like, it's not something that has ever been acceptable. It's never even been something I've even thought of saying, to be honest with you. Like, it's almost like that's the one word, no matter how much I hear it. And I played basketball a lot with my brother growing up, and we played, I heard the word quite a bit. I've been called the word quite a bit, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, yeah, so it's like, but this is just like, nah.
Not my word.
Not my word. I'm not going to say that. That might as well not even be a word. Like
when you were talking about like getting songs stuck in your head just because you've heard it multiple times.
Yeah.
We went down to one of my so we played a softball tournament in Georgia a few years back. So it's like a 10 or 12 hour car ride. It might have even been further, but I'm in a van with like 4 or 5 other dudes. And our one buddy, for some reason, I was always like talking like, "This is lit, fam," all that bullshit. That somebody that's like 24 probably shouldn't be like talking like that. That was, at that point, that was probably like something the high school kids. I sound like an old dude now, but he just sounded dumb. But he kept talking like that. I was like a week after I was home, and because I would make fun of him, and I would just talk like that, like on the trip. I was like broken for a while.
Where it just come out.
I am somebody that could go move to a different state or country, and within like a month, I would probably just have that accent. I'd go home and they'd be like, "How long were you in Ireland?" Like
12 hours.
15 minutes.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy because like I don't realize that I have a lot of words that like I say wrong. Just because I was born in Michigan, moved all over, lived overseas, lived in the Midwest, lived down south, Which, by the way, I fucking hate when people tell me. My wife says it. My wife has said it to me. She's like, "You didn't live in the South." I was like, "Listen, Virginia Beach is 2 hours south of Richmond, which was the Confederate capital. We lived in the South. Like, I don't.
I think so. I've only lived 2 places my entire life, and I think where I live right now is probably just a touch more south. And I'm like northern. I'm like 10 minutes from Michigan and Indiana.
Yeah, it's like pretty close. The most north. You're Yankee all the way. No, but it's like, so I have like these words where I just pick about the same thing. I'll pick stuff up, but like, so what do you call the thing that's off the side of your house that catches all the water and runs it away from your house?
A gutter or an eaves trough?
Okay. My wife swears to God that eaves trough is not a word. Because I call it an eaves trough. That's what I call.
What it really?
Yes.
Oh, I think Taylor did something like that the other day.
Because I call it an eaves trough all the time. Like, I'm like, yo, there's something in our eaves trough. And she's like, that's a gutter. And I'm like,
I think they're pretty interchangeable.
That you can use both. Like,
right. It's
she's like, I've never heard anyone say eaves trough. And I'm like, I definitely is a thing.
What do you call like Pepsi or Coke or Dr. Pepper?
If I'm in the north too long, I call it pop. But if no, on a normal basis, I just call it what it is. I'll call it Pepsi, Coke, Sprite, whatever.
So okay, so you
or I'll say soda. Like if you're going to the store, hey, grab a soda.
Okay, I don't know if I've ever used the term soda. Like I'm sure I've said it, but like it's always pop.
But you give me 12 hours around my family in Michigan, and everything's a fucking pop.
Isn't it weird how stuff like that? And then you go to like further south, and everything's a Coke.
And then in I think Texas, everything's a Dr. Pepper, basically.
Is it?
Basically, I think.
Well, the one that blew my mind the most that was like different.
Yeah.
Was at a family reunion in Wisconsin, and I don't remember what we were talking about. Somehow we got on the topic of water fountains, and my cousin was like, "The bubbler," and
I've never heard that.
What the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, "The bubbler. That's like the thing that spits the water out. It's a water fountain, water. I think it was drinking fountain, water fountain." And so like, that's a bubbler. It's like, I think it's just the small, like the greater Milwaukee area calls it a bubbler.
That's wild. I've never heard that. But I say a lot of words wrong just because that are actually wrong, and my wife is correct. But
it is in the New Oxford Dictionary too. A drinking fountain, a bubbler.
Jesus Christ, I've never heard that. Just learned something new myself.
Hey, learning something new.
I learned something new. I say like instead of idea, like I have an idea. I say ideal all the time. I was like, I have an ideal.
I throw an R in wash.
Wash.
And that was one of those things. Like my grandma always said it.
Yep.
And like I knew it was wash, but like it feels weird to say wash now. I catch myself saying Don instead of down just from listening to like Pat Show and stuff.
Doing the Zeno?
Huh?
Doing the Zeno?
Don. When you said, are there words that you pronounced a certain way and then realized, or somebody told you later that you were like saying it wrong, like and it was unintentional? You're like, I thought that's how that word was supposed to be.
Yeah, my wife, a lot of every word I say, basically. My wife, she's like a grammar Nazi. Dude, like for 1,000%. Okay. So this is going to we'll get real here. So like,
well, time out before you say that. You've talked about how our wives would get along pretty well. Yeah. And this is it.
Yeah. So
like seesaw.
Oh, dude, all the time. I'll be texting her. I'll be like, yeah, get me one too. And I'll just put TO because I'm just like, I know it's 2 O's, but I don't give a fuck because it's a text. And she's like, that has 2 O's. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I just don't give a fuck.
Or like who's?
Yeah. Like who's? I don't know what the fuck I was doing with that, to be honest with you. No, lack of sleep got me on that one. I spelled who's with an apostrophe, and then I took the apostrophe out, which was still wrong. And then, yeah, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh,
it was possessive, and then a contraction, and then no contract. I don't know,
dude. I don't know what I was doing, but like, it's funny because like, so, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this one, but like, so when Pat was looking to hire me, right? So we had a back and forth text few times, and I'm just texting like normal. So I'm just like, I don't give a fuck, blah 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 blah, like whatever. And then my wife will be like, let me read it before you send it. And then she's like changing the shit. I'm like, this sounds too formal now. And she's like, this is basically a job interview. What are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, but it's Pat. So I'm like, you have like that weird back and forth. You're like, yes, he is a potential employer at this point,
Right.
but also, do you listen to him talk?
Right.
So it's like I know, I obviously I know how to spell, and I can, if you need me to like have something perfect, I can do it, but I just don't prefer to.
Right. So up until I was probably like 24 or 25.
Yeah.
Until my wife heard me say it and was like, what was that? I thought it was pamphlet, not pamphlet.
Oh.
I always said pamphlet. Like there was like PAMP.
Yeah.
Pamphlet. Like, that's wrong. And I was like, no, it's not. And like I was like dead set. And like I typically don't argue unless I think I'm right. And I was like, I thought I was right. And
you're like, I'm dying on this hill right now.
Luckily, I mean not luckily, but like I can throw this out there because one of my good buddies said it the exact same way.
Yeah.
The issue is he was in like the remedial classes all through school, so she's like, yeah, you picked Jordan to be your backup for this.
I mean, fair enough, right? You're like, yep, yeah, dude. I don't, but it's like weird because I'm like, I don't really, you don't really know until you actually just somebody calls you on it. You're like, I've been saying it forever. My daughter, when she was like 6, granted she's young, she thought it was fucking, what was it? Concrete, not concrete.
I hear that. That bothers me when people say that. There's old guys at work that say concrete, and I was like, absolutely not.
I'm like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. But yeah, it's but those words, my wife is like the Nazi of how to pronounce things, which is cool, I guess.
Nip it in the bud is another one. Nip it in the butt. Yeah,
I think it can go either way, though. I feel like.
I hope so. I don't know.
I feel like there's definitely other things that I've said, but I'm like, sometimes I get like all Michael Scott and shit. Do you ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
I'm fucking with the turntables and shit. I say
that all the time, and stuff, variations of that. I did get my wife in this scenario where she was wrong about something. She always thought it was play it by year, like YEAR, instead of play it by ear.
Yeah, and that one doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Like nip it in the butt makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. She's a very, very smart lady, and I never give her a hard time about it. But any chance I get, I bring it up.
So this is going to be about 52 minutes into the podcast. So this is the part where Jems is going to get a text message probably and be like,
no, she should be putting Claire to bed. She shouldn't even be listening.
Oh no, I was saying when she listens to it back.
No, I think the conversation earlier about the C unit word probably might have done it. She might not make it this far. Or I might not make it this far.
She's like, oh shit. Yeah, no.
She's the children's ministry director at our church.
Which I mean, I don't think that's an issue though.
No, I've heard the other people that are in positions there talk. So,
well, the thing is this, right? It's like, okay, so and I'm a religious guy, but I'm like, anybody who's too, and this is just from watching things and being around people for 37 years of my life. Anybody who's too like by the book and clean cut, there's something wrong with them.
Right. Like I probably said this. I said it on Twitter today, and I've said it several times. Like Mike Pence. I know we don't get political, and this really isn't politically biased. It's just Mike Pence is too straight-laced about I can't be in a room with another woman without my wife in there. Conversion therapy for gay people. Like,
that's a little
definitely enjoys the company of men.
I mean, I won't say it, but I mean, I can see what you're saying. I mean, usually, I think what you're doing is the classic case of usually if some what is it douse protest too much, basically.
I mean, it's honestly it's mostly like homophobes who end up being that exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and we've seen it through history. I mean, people who are overly like about that, usually it's they're trying to push it away, which I mean, it's probably some kind of struggle within and of itself, probably. But that's the thing is like, cool thing is like, I mean, we're born into, well, we're not born into because we kind of came from that generation, but like we're kind of rolling into this generation of people have more rights than ever to be who they are.
Right.
Which is really cool.
It is very cool.
And like the only thing that sucks for me as a heterosexual straight male who goes by he and him pronouns, like, is like, I don't want to fuck up because I love people, but I'm like, I don't want to say the wrong thing and offend somebody on accident.
We should get my cousin on here. He's like very like into the pronouns and stuff and knows what like they all mean. Yeah. Maybe he could teach us because
what's crazy because I had at work, so I run a route. I run 3 different routes, but one of the routes I run is a it's a 6-day route, and I run 1 day a week. And the lady who runs that route is she's a lesbian who she's also like in a biker club. I call it a biker gang all the time because it's funny, but it's like an all-female biker club. And so we've had this conversation because like I'm like, they have people that are like have transitioned. They have people that are like transitioned the other way. Like, so it's like, I'm like, well, if it's an all-female biker club, but you have people transition, she's like, it's crazy. It's hard to like keep track of too. But yeah, we sat and we like basically like had these conversations, and it's like her knowing me and who I am, and me knowing her who she is. Like, we could go grab a beer and have a conversation, and no one's going to get offended, and I'm going to be able to like learn from like someone who's like more knowledgeable about it, and be able to ask stupid questions that like could come up. Like, I mean, you know, like what do you call somebody when they've chosen to be a male or female, but they're male or female and they're switching to the other one? Like, are they trans then, or once they fully switched, are they just that gender? Like, where's the line? Also, you can't just ask somebody. You can't go up to them and be like, hey, I know you used to be a man, but now you're a woman, but are you still packing downstairs? Like, what's going, like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, so like the etiquette is so like, I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody. Like, I want you to feel how you are. And I see it a lot in delivering. Like, I mean, like I have a couple stores that definitely have like, and this is one of those weird ones, is like, if you're a homosexual male, okay, and if you've been a homosexual male and you're obviously into guys and you're a male, but then now you're transitioning to a woman, are you straight?
I don't know how that works. But like Taylor, my wife took a class, like a sexuality class in college, and she told me about this. She said sometimes people will transition, I think. Yeah. But then, you know, it just makes sense. Like, oh, I like guys now, so I'll transition to be a woman, and I'll still like guys. But then sometimes like it doesn't like transfer over or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. But like it's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be like offensive. Like, but I'm like, if you're talking about like your spouse, like in my line of work, like I have small talk, and I'm like, I don't want to say something that offends somebody. I know that this person is now becoming like whatever, Billy Joe or whatever. I don't, you know what I mean? Like changing who they are. And you're like, okay, like that wasn't the actual name, but I just couldn't think of a good name. Right. I'm like, you're like, I'll call you by whatever name you want me to call you. Right. I'm that person now. I'm like, if you want to call me Tone, call me Tone. If you want to call me Tony, if you want to call me Anthony. I had this girl, Kara, shout out tennis. She's a tennis coach in Virginia at like high school. She would call me everything under the sun. We had like Spanish class together. She would call me like Diego. She'd call me like whatever, like any name. And I'd just respond to it.
Was she hot? Is that why you did that?
She was one of like my crushes in high school. Yeah. But
you can call me whatever you want.
Yeah. She was one of my crushes in high school. She's actually a really, really nice lady though. Like super nice lady.
I don't correct people too often. If I know it's somebody that I don't have to talk to that often, you can call me Jerry, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to correct you right now. Or like, what's your name? Like my Starbucks cups can be wrong, or like Taco Bell menu or bag or whatever. I don't really care. It's not a big deal to me if you get it wrong. Like
That's so bad too.
If it's somebody I see all the time and they continually like don't know my name, then it bugs me. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, dude, like, I'm like, I just call me whatever, but like, I have so many names that I'm like, just hit one of them. Like, you're like Jesus.
You close your eyes and hit one. So back to like the transitioning thing. One of my other cousins has transitioned from I knew him as Brandon.
Yeah.
And up until all the way through high school, I believe, Brandon. And then she is now Brooklyn. And it's hard when like you knew somebody for 18 years. I mean, you obviously still know them. And then so like she was pretty cool about it though. Like she's like, call me B. Like I know it's gonna be hard. And she picked a name fairly close. It wasn't like she went from Brandon to like Maria or something.
Yeah, right.
But at least it's kept with the same letters. It was tough, but like I mean, now I can't even imagine her being a male anymore.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Like, because I mean, like, I obviously, as you know, we've become much closer in doing this podcast. Like, I'm just somebody who like I like enjoy knowledge, and like for me, I'm like I want to know like the right thing. I want to know what am I supposed to like, because I want everyone to feel comfortable as they can in their own skin. I don't care what you are, you know what I mean? Right. I mean, unless you're a pedophile, then we got problems. But
that's the one thing we care about.
That's the one thing I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know.
Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, what is a movie or like a show or something that has ruined your name for you? And I was like, Subway commercials.
Yeah. Good old Jared.
Somebody goes, well, in the jewelry store. I said, you can call me the jewelry store every day of the week. Don't fucking call me Jared Fogle.
Yeah. Fucking Jared Fogle. Jesus. Yeah. It's wild because you're like, what do you do? Right. Like, you're like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm sure, and I know that is some kind of like, you know, issue that is like above most people's like ability to even control it. But it's like, still, I'm like, I can't. I'm just like, ugh. Maybe that's because I'm a dad. I don't know. But
did you see that video of that woman in Texas like tackling that window peeper?
No.
Like that's the cops hilarious. Like got away from the cops, and it was somebody trying to peek into her like 15-year-old girl's window, and the mom was like standing outside, and the perpetrator started running away, and the mom just fucking laid him out.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, so speaking of other weird rules, right? Okay. So like I think there was like a dad, speaking of pedophiles as well, there was a dad who like I guess walked in on his son being like assaulted by somebody like in his house. Like it was somebody who came, it was like a party at their house. Somebody brought this person. It turned out to be that like dude beat him to death basically in his house, and like got off on it because it was like protection or whatever. But like certain states don't have certain states have certain rules that are like so weird. Like even with like gun laws, like protecting your house. If someone comes in your house, like some places you can't kill them, some places you can kill them. Some places it's like, it's such a weird, like the ruling is like, and I know guns are like kind of like a touchy subject, but it's like, I find it to be one of those situations where I'm like, if my wife was home alone and with my kids and I was out like doing whatever, and somebody could try to break in, and she shoots them to death, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be like, you protected our family. It's going to suck that someone had to die, but at the same time, it's like, you wouldn't have died if you didn't try to get in my house.
Right.
So it's like,
make dumb choices, win dumb prizes.
Yeah. So it's so tough to me because I'm like, I go back and forth. I try to be as open-minded as possible. So like, I know some people are like very anti-gun and some people are very like pro-gun. And it's like, I'm like, I see the need for them, but I also see the need for some kind of reform on it. But it's like, where does it fall?
Right. And I agree with the same thing. Like Indiana's going through something right now about constitutional carry, but like, it just, I don't know. Like I have guns and stuff, but like,
yeah, it's weird because like did you get did you get raised with like guns and hunting and like your
Yeah.
so my dad taught me the like responsibility of it, like, I mean, like how to clean it, how to do all that kind of stuff. um Taught us what it does, you know what I mean? Like we like, how people are like, yeah, but you never know, your kid could pick a gun up that's sitting on the nightstand and shoot themselves. And like I never had that because my dad taught me at a young age. He was like, listen, this thing is a game changer. Like there's no mistakes. Like
Right.
you don't get second chances. Like
Yeah.
so like, yeah, it's like it's one of those weird things. You're just like, I think when you get brought up with it and shown what it can do, I think it's almost better than not having been introduced to it because I think nowadays with especially like video games and stuff, I think that's where you run into the problems because people are like, oh, I can respawn, and you're like, no, that's not how that works. Like
You can also have the other side of that though too, where like there's too much of it. Like
yeah,
have like a Greg Hardy situation where they're just all thrown out on a bed.
that's wild, fucking yeah. Or like, I mean, and we have one here. Have you ever heard of Dragon Man?
Dragon Man?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so Dragon Man is a dude. He owns quite a bit of land out here. He became not super famous, but he became kind of big with the Columbine shootings because there was questions on whether or not the Columbine killers got their guns from this dude. Basically, he like owns like a gun place where the firing range and all that kind of stuff out there. Has so many.
On Dragon Man Drive.
Probably. Is it in Colorado? Then probably.
Colorado Springs.
Yes, that's yeah. So now it's very close to my house. You could definitely get there pretty easy. Actually, not really that easy, to be honest with you. It's like kind of a pain in the ass, but like, but it's like not super far, like in the grand scheme of things. But like his wife died filming something. She blew up on a fucking grenade or something like that, or like an explosion.
He does have a paintball park there, which haven't played paintball since high school, but like I would love to get back into that.
Paintball's fun. I was listening to Trevor Wallace on his podcast Stiff Socks talk about paintballing with his co-host.
Yeah,
you know who Trevor Wallace is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have him pictured in my head. I guess
he's the bang guy and the White Claw guy.
Okay, yeah.
Viral video, which is like, shit, dude. Those bang videos are hilarious. Where he's like, what are you doing tonight? And he's like, do you drink like whatever is banging? He's like, smells like felony, or tastes like a felony, or something like, I don't know, something like that, something stupid. But he's pretty hilarious. But he was talking about it on there. Yeah, and I was like, I haven't been paintballing in a minute. But yeah, so there's like guys like that. Like, I mean, this dude. So when I sold cars, this is the first time I was introduced to this. Dragon Man and Joe Kenda, probably the two dudes that from here that like people will be like, oh, do you know who Dragon Man is? And you're like, didn't until I fucking met him, I guess. But like, so I was selling cars, and dude rolled into the parking lot to buy a car for, I guess it's like stepdaughter or maybe his daughter-in-law. I don't know. He was buying a car for her. Rolled up with like a Jeep that had like a mounted fucking gun on the top, like, and like missiles and shit on the sides.
Like that's probably a little overkill.
Yeah. Like
just a little.
Or you have the people who like carry like, they're like, I can conceal carry and open carry, and I have 6 guns on me. And you're like, what? Like, why?
One of my best friends carries multiple guns, but he doesn't they're all concealed.
Yeah.
Like, got a couple. And I believe he's told me that his theory on it is, why do you want to be the guy with the big gun sticking out off the side? Because if somebody comes in there intending to shoot somebody, who the fuck do you think they're going to shoot first? And all those people that are carrying, we're getting a little political here, I guess. My theory is all those people that are carrying the open carry guns, like whether they got an AR strapped on their back or something, or just like this big ass handgun on their side, plain as day, they're not going to use it. Those are the people that are either going to accidentally shoot somebody or accidentally shoot themselves.
For sure. Well, I mean, like for like I'll tell you, like, I mean, I wish in that situation I had a gun, but I mean, maybe I don't know what I would have done with it. But like, I mean, I was part of an armed robbery, like while working, and I'll tell you,
I established while working. I was part of an armed robbery.
like while working,
we made out with like $1,600.
no, I wasn't part. That was that side of it. I was on the other side, but like, I mean, pretty nervous. I'll be honest with you for like solid 2 minutes. You know, it was you're like, fuck. Well, I am not in control here. This sucks. Like,
yeah,
not that I would.
That's got to be the worst part of something like that. You are not in control. You can like try to gain control, but like you could also get shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild. I was like, man, I'm like, I don't know. Like, you're like, but then at the same time, I'm like, what would I have done if I had a gun? Maybe I pull it and then I shoot that person and then miss and then they shoot me. Who, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like,
right.
More.
There's a ton of variables, or like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where you're just like, you know, I understand the need, but also at the same time, it's like maybe like not having all of the guns is cool too. Like, it's, you know, it's like, but like that's with everything, right? It's like kind of politics. It's kind of like having these conversations like about like touchy subjects. It's like if you can remain towards the middle, which I think most of America is, then you're fine. But it's like the extremes that kind of ruin it for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It's the extremes. It's the far left, far right.
Yeah.
It's both extremes. And like, I lean one way definitely more than the other. But like, even the far that direction is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's way too much. It's like, I'm embarrassed to like kind of be associated with you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's kind of weird because you're just like, okay, what do you do? Like, and there's always it's always the same subjects, right? It's a race, it's sexuality, it's abortion, it's gun control. Basically, those are like the main four.
Those are the big four.
Like, I mean, like, so it's like,
and like, and this is just me, but you like, I feel like all four are cut and dry on how they should be handled. I won't express my opinion, but I think it's pretty. It seems like that'd be so easy just to be like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's also cool. Yeah, if you feel like it, yeah, go for it. And yeah, let's maybe limit it a little bit.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think like with anything, like, I mean, the race one's mad easy. It's like, hey, everybody's equal. Let's just start treating people like the way we want to be treated. I mean, we fucking learned the golden rule in fucking kindergarten. Like,
right. Well, and I think the gay marriage one would fall right under that. For people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially like being a religious person. I mean, like, it's not up to me anyway. It's like God can judge if God wants to judge. That's an easy one.
The church that my wife works at and I attend with her. I never went to church growing up, and if her church was not the way they were, I would definitely not be going. If it was like a super like stuck up, like trying to follow the rules of the Bible or ever how they interpreted, but like loosely interpret them, like there's no way I would go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like there's so much in the Bible too that's like frustrating because it's like people will be like, this is what it says, and then you're like, yeah, but it also says this thing, which is like it's also none of your business, and that you like don't judge
people.
So it's like weird. Yeah, and then I'm like, also part of the Bible is written in the language that's not even spoken anymore, so it's interpretation. So it's like, you know, it's like part of that. It's funky. I have a hair in my eye.
Is that where the Rosetta Stone comes into play?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought you might know.
No, I don't know.
It's a different language, but I didn't know if that was like supposed to be like the translator.
But it's like weird. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But the thing is like it's crazy.
I know what my next topic I'm choosing for whose show is it anyway?
Rosetta Stone.
Did you randomize for?
I'm gonna do it right after this, and then I'm gonna let the guys know.
I sure hope I get to talk about edible underwear.
Dude, what was that? Okay, so let's end with that because so we neither of us have hosted. Jems actually got picked for episode 1, but had to forfeit his spot because of school. So, but basically, so 2 people get randomized in, and then we all pick the topics, and these topics are like vary by like. Do you remember all the ones from today? I can think I can get most of them.
So I was driving for some of them, so I didn't. I saw. I think one of them was paranormal. Like, I'm gonna separate this in my head. This is how I do things. I'm trying to remember the Twitter ones, and then I'll text ones. So I think it was paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
People on the phone focused on other stuff when making a lot of noise with tin cans.
Yes, phone etiquette, phone call etiquette.
I don't know if the other person did one on Twitter. Did she?
I think she did, but I have to go back and look at it. I'll look at it while you're going through.
And then the other ones of us was edible underwear, dinosaurs, Ryan Reynolds movies.
Yep.
What did drive-throughs?
Drive-throughs. Yep.
And then I don't remember what was Uncle Fleggy's.
I can't remember his either, to be honest.
I'm starting to call him Uncle now since
Uncle Fleggy's,
because he's older than me. So
you have to. So yeah, let me see if I can pop through real quick. I see.
Well, we wouldn't have so many messages to go through if Marco could figure out 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing over here? Dude, my thing went back to. I see what you're saying. Okay. So we were on. We were all over the place too. By the way, I think it was because then we got into like the how it all works. But edible underwear obviously was yours. Mine was Ryan Reynolds movies. And then I think there was drive-through. Yep, for sure. Roadside attractions is what Flag said,
which is a good one.
Yeah. So we had a couple dinosaurs
first.
So basically we throw those into like a randomizer and it's going to be like it picks it out. So so some of these topics are just wild, but
I think it's going to be super cool and like I'm excited to get one that I don't know a ton about so I can research it.
Yeah, we research a little bit on this podcast.
Yeah. So I was going to bring this up in the group. Like, if me and you get pulled, do we do it? I mean, everything so far has been a different combination of the anomalies. But, like, if the SPMs get pulled.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we would. I guess we would just do it as a different style because it's a different show. For us, it's a different show. It's definitely just one.
Right. It'd be one topic. And what I think would probably do us pretty well. I think that would go good for us. Yeah.
And I think we'd do fine with it. But yeah, I don't know. But it's a fun thing. So make sure everybody go follow the Iron Ostrich Network. I think it's Iron Ostrich HQ on all socials. And then we'll by next episode I'll probably have like more information and I'll probably like end like this video or start this video stuff with like with how you can kind of find everybody. So but Jems, you got anything else to say?
No, I don't think so. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely went all over the place, and I did not see us getting political in any sort of fashion, but I think we
be as vague political as possible. I mean, most people that listen to this know us already, so they probably kind of know where either of us fall on things.
Well, that's the good thing is like I think when it comes to political thing, I think people have to start seeing it. It's a problem, right? It's a double-edged sword, right? Because like so many people project to the world a false image, whereas like I talk on too many podcasts for me to have a false image.
Right. If anybody like knows my friends or knows like the area I live in, they would think I'm one way.
Yeah.
Like my best friend's fiance, for example. Like I assumed just at first assumed all of his friends were a bunch of what they most are. But no, like I am opposite politically than probably nearly all of my friends.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, I never have a problem saying it. I'm an independent. I roll down the middle. So like
pretty good one to be able to tell people. And I don't mind saying mine, but I'm just trying to like, not like,
I think
their 17 listeners aren't going to cancel us if I'm like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck these guys. Fucking no. But for me, it's always been independence. Always been one of those things where I'm like, okay, it makes sense because I almost don't trust anybody that believes all one way and all one the other way just based off of like a name. That's creepy to me. I'm like, sorry. So I feel certain ways on certain things, certain ways on certain things. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm a religious guy who's a pro-choice. That's like, but it's not like, it's not something I would personally do. I don't think ever. I can't imagine me or my wife choosing to have an abortion. But also like, I have a hard time telling somebody who's like, you know, been raped or something that they have to have a baby. That feels like raping them twice.
Right.
Yeah. So
Kayla and I were just talking about we were just talking about abortion today. Not for that reason though.
Jesus, you just had a kid, Jems.
I know. No, just like the topic of it. And
yeah.
I would say I am closer to the middle nowadays than I probably used to be. But yeah.
It's tough, I think, as a parent though. I mean, because if I just walk in my shoes, I would definitely be against abortion. But that's just my personal stance on it. Like if it came into my living room, you know what I mean? Like if my daughters, God forbid, they're 13 and 12, come home at 16 and pregnant, you know, you're gonna be like,
yeah, I feel like there's good reasons to have it, or not maybe not good reasons, but there's definitely, I don't know.
yeah. No, it's the problem is like it's one of those that's the muddied issues, right? It's like like, do you tell somebody who's got pregnant not by their own choice that they can? I mean,
right.
I think but then it's also on the other end where I'm like, I'm pro-choice, but also like maybe like 1 day shy of pushing the baby out of your vagina, not the time to have one. You know, like
like, well, you still have to push it out at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, like I definitely am like, but that's what you were saying earlier. I feel like there's like there's a way to compromise here where it's like it makes sense though if you want to make that choice, cool, but also if you don't want to make that choice, it's cool.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I'm big into letting people like decide certain things for themselves. Like my body, my choice is kind of should be a real thing for the most part.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and then
I'm sure there's an example where it's probably not a good idea. Not like the abortion, but like the my body, my choice. But like I would think 99.9% of the time, like, do you?
I do feel there's one instance where it's like, so like say like
doing drugs while pregnant. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that for sure. But there's this thing where it's like, okay, what if you and I'll just use you and your wife as a example, but like if you and your wife were married like you are now, and then your wife got pregnant, but then like for some reason you guys got divorced when your wife's like 2 months pregnant, right? But what if you wanted the baby and she doesn't? Yeah, that's like one of those areas where you're like, it's tough to be like,
what TV show was that in that I was watching? That was I can't remember. That just came across like a TV show too, where fuck, I don't know.
But that's the thing is too, is I think we're two dads that like, I'm like, I could never imagine not having the kid. So like for me, I'm like, I don't care if you're even in the life of the kid. Like, please just have the baby and I'll raise it. I don't want nothing. Like,
right. I feel like if one parent wants it and like, no, I don't know.
Well, the reason why I said marriage is because I'm like in a marriage situation, it's kind of weird, but it's like it muddies that up, but super hard. But I'm like, if it's a one night stand, you're like, I mean, I don't really know. Like, there's a little bit more like probably say on like what the woman wants. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they tend to be the bosses, I guess.
So, but that's about as political as I'll get. I mean, I love it. I love everybody, and I hope everybody knows that. Really, I want to have conversations with people, and I think the thing that needs to be done though is definitely, I think there needs to be some kind of not mental, like therapeutic aspect to it if people would do that, because I do know now that I'm 37, I do know a number of women who have had abortions, and that's the one thing that most of them say is like the guilt they feel later on in life is a thing. So like I would hope that more people obviously are going to check up on their mental health and stuff and take that seriously, especially in those kind of instances.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it might have been This Is Us where I saw that, something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I try not to watch that show. It makes me not feel good. I don't like that show.
Yeah, we're like 3 or 4 episodes behind, and that's kind of the same reason. Like the one character had
Yeah.
Just came out she had an abortion when she was younger.
Yeah.
Like, didn't tell anybody and been kind of dealing with it on her own. Blah blah blah.
It messes you up, man. I'll tell you. I mean, I've been part of a like miscarriage, and that stuff messes with you. And I mean, just like so you're like, so I can only imagine. I mean, obviously making the choice and all that kind of stuff. So, but I think that's we'll end it on a super heavy note.
I mean, we could try to lighten it up, but I'm trying to think of. I thought I had something to. Nope, I got nothing. I thought I had something to try to lighten the mood, but
well, you know what,
that I might have is that I have these trains of thought. I need a notepad. I need less my notepad. I had a notepad down here where I jot stuff down.
Yeah. You know what though? A good way to, I guess, end it would be just to be like, the fact that like we're able to have these conversations and like express this to somebody might hear it. Maybe it's just one person, who knows, and they're like, man, I was feeling away, and like maybe that made me think of it differently. Like that's kind of, I think, the point. So hopefully we're helping make the world a better place. And if you do have any of that stuff, definitely hit us up on any of our socials, because I mean, I think our DMs are open. So if you ever want to if we say anything that offends you or say anything that like you want to give input on, I mean, obviously we clearly want to have conversations.
If I ever get to the point where my DMs are closed, and not for me saying something stupid and I close my DMs, but like because I'm too big, like I feel like I probably always leave my DMs open. I say that now, but like
I'm sure at some point it would get overwhelming. At some point. Like, so yeah, but I think that's like our biggest thing, biggest takeaway. Be good to people, and then the world will become a better place. So
don't suck.
Yeah, don't suck. That's how we're gonna end it. All right, we'll see you guys next time, hopefully with a guest.
Yeah, so we'll work on that again.
Yeah. So all right, everybody, enjoy, and we'll talk to you guys later.